What's up, boys and girls? Welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. I'm your host, James Lariello, and I'm so excited to bring you guys an episode today. I've got such a good one for you, something I've been working on for a bit now. None other than the Boulder Boy himself, Mr. Matt Daniels, is on the podcast. Caught up with Matt just as he's getting ready. He's in his training block right now for Run Rabbit Run, and we talked about all kinds of good stuff. One of the probably the most storied athletes in our sport. Matt's been around for a long time, and he brings a lot of experience with them. We talked about coaching and what it's like being a coach. We talked about short trail versus long trail. Matt's raced a ton of short trail, some of the most competitive short trail races in the world, like Series and all, Matt has been a part of. We talked about just career trajectories. We talked about agents and working with agents, sponsorship, where he's at now and where he wants to go with his career. So this was an amazing episode. I really appreciate Matt for coming on and being so candid and talking about so much good stuff. I think there's a lot of nuggets of wisdom in here that you guys will take away from. And I was left just becoming even a bigger fan of Matt than I already was. So really good stuff here. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll stop mumbling and get going. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy it. None other than Matt Daniels.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Matt Daniels, welcome to the Steep Stuff Podcast. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm super excited to have you dude. It's so crazy. Like you don't know this obviously, but like back when you used to be on a lot of like leaderboards in Monument, and when I first moved down here to Colorado from Florida, like in Monument, Palmer Lake, Colorado Springs, I'd always be chasing your crowns, and I'm like, that's kind of how I became a fan of you originally, and then I learned about the sport and stuff like that. So it's a full circle moment. It's kind of weird. So yeah, dude, it's excited to have you. Do you ever come down and like run on those trails at all anymore or no?
I haven't in a while. I'd like to. I noticed. Yeah, I was noticing when you were getting some of those segments. I was like, oh man, new guy in town. But yeah, I think it was weird because I lived there for a very short period of time, and it was evident like there wasn't a whole lot of people that had explored those trails or at least run them very quickly or anything. And so yeah, it was kind of cool. It seemed like every run I went on, it was like, oh, there's a new segment. And but yeah, no, that's cool. That's kind of how you found your way to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a cool area too. That area is dope. Like lots of it's kind of wild. Like the Palmer Lake area is just I don't know. It's obviously not like metropolitan because of Colorado Springs, but yep. It's pretty dope. So, dude, how are you doing? How's your season going now? I know you're getting ready for Run Rabbit. How's the build up for that? Like what have you been up to in the last few months?
Oh man, a lot. I'm doing well actually. Yeah, the season. Well, it's kind of like I've had a really interesting season, I guess, to put it lightly. The year started off kind of interesting. I went through a divorce, and at the same time of going through a divorce, the house I'd moved into had a mold problem that I didn't know was going on. So I was just getting sick. Like every time I traveled to go race and come back, I was like really sick. And so I was nailing it for some of the early season races, and then some of them just like weren't happening, and I was sick, and I was having to pull out of a lot of races. And so I've kind of had this time period over the last few months where it's just been a focus on like getting fully healthy and thinking about like what do I want out of the rest of the season. And I knew it would be kind of a later year. I wasn't going to be able to like race my way into Western states when in the middle of the year. I wasn't going to be able to do a lot of these big 50Ks that I planned. I just wasn't feeling good. And so Run Rabbit lined up well for that. And you can't ignore the big prize purse. And so that,
absolutely.
carrot at the end of the stick there. And so, yeah, man, I'm doing good. I'm falling into training well. I'm up here in Frisco, Colorado right now, kind of doing a little training camp, getting ready for that, and just yeah, enjoying. I've got a new coach, so I'm enjoying kind of the training around that, and putting in some bigger days in the mountains, and just I guess yeah, kind of figuring out where fitness is and seeing what comes of it.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. All right, I'll jump into a bunch of things because I just have so many
Sure.
questions for you. So I don't know if you know this, but like I generally stick to like short trail stuff, but because I feel like I can have this conversation because you've done so much short trail and you kind of go back and forth between the two. Like you're one of the best 50K runners in the country, hands down, but you also do the long stuff too. So I feel like, okay, we could talk about both.
Yeah.
Let's jump into the coaching conversation. I want to talk about that because you are a coach and you recently said you just started working with a new coach. Who are you working with? And like, how's that been kind of going for you?
Yeah, so I started working with Cliff Pittman. He's with CTS, and Cliff had reached out. Gosh, I guess it's been almost 2 years ago now. When he noticed, I was going through some stuff in my training and just not really enjoying the process and that sort of thing. And I, I wasn't. I don't know if I was ready for a coach at the time, and kind of was just finding my way with like trying to stay healthy and had a lot of life stuff going on. And then it just seemed like once I kind of figured out about like the mold exposure that I was going through over the last few months, and training was kind of just like at ground zero. It was like this is a good time to like hire a coach and really get focused on the things I want to focus on late in my career, and that's some of the longer races. And CTS is a proven track record of coaching athletes to run really well in 100 milers, and I still, obviously want to do, some shorter stuff too. I have a lot of joy in that. And so Cliff just was a perfect fit, and we hit it off. He's from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I used to live out there for a short period of time too. So we had a lot in common. He's an ex-military guy as well. And so, yeah, it just seemed like the right fit, and it's been great. Yeah, I can't complain.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, on the topic of mold, like, is that like that's not going to affect you like long term, is it? Like, did you get checked out? Like, how does because it's funny, I've lived in a house before that we suspected had mold, and it is crazy. Like, once you move into a place that doesn't have mold, like how much better you improve. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, man, it's up for debate on like how long it's going to affect me, and that's kind of what the doctor said too. But I think luckily I was only there for 4 months before I figured out what was going on. And luckily for me, I traveled a lot racing over the spring, and so it was kind of like every time I came back, I was getting sick. And I think most people that are exposed to like a mold exposure in a home and don't know it, they have no idea because they're just living in the same place the whole time, and maybe they have like some symptoms like brain fog or stuffy nose or just kind of low level fatigue. But for me, it was just like being hit by a bus every time I came back into town. And so that's how I knew it was like right away there's something going on here, and it's with where I'm living, because this used to not happen where I was living before. And so yeah, I got tested to see like the mycotoxin levels in my system, and the same levels showed up in the mold testing that I had done in the apartment that I was in. And kind of figured it out really quickly. And the doctor said, it's depends on the individual and how quickly they recover, and what the exposure was like, and that sort of thing. But it seemed like for me, as soon as I moved out, pretty rapidly things were trending in a better direction. Like heart rate stuff was not as crazy. I definitely wasn't like sick all the time. Energy levels and brain fog, lifted. So yeah, it just took a good like probably month and a half, 2 months to start feeling like a normal human again. And I'm finally at a point where I'm realizing like, man, I was pretty sick for quite a few months there without really realizing how sick. And it was kind of a miracle that I was racing, with through all that too. So
yeah, you're sitting at a really high level too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, yeah, things are trending in the right direction now, and hoping it continues that way and there's no long-term side effects. But yeah, it's to be determined.
No, dude, I love it. It's good to hear that you're on the other side of it, and hopefully it's all good. I got to get into the Boulder Boys podcast because like oh man, like I've been wanting to ask you this one for a long time. Like, amazing new show. I can't even call it new because you guys have been around for a little bit now, but like explain that to me. Like, what does it feel like to be a member of this amazing group, guys that you also train with? And now you have like an extremely successful, but like one of the most successful podcasts out there now as it continues to grow. What's your take on that? Like, did you plan for that to happen? Like talk about that.
Oh, well, thanks, man. No, we didn't plan on it happening. Actually, it's kind of one of those crazy things. I mean, we've told the story a few times on a couple different podcasts and maybe on our show a little bit, but um, we're just kind of like a group of guys that like got together a lot for dinners, with our significant others and hang out outside of running and then go on, your Saturday and Sunday long runs and shoot the shit and have conversation and I don't know how it came up, but I feel like one day on the run we were just like, let's just do a podcast and see if it sticks, because people have been like I think Finn Melanson is one of the guys who suggested it in the past, and people started coining this term, the Boulder Boys, on the podcast every time like we'd be on, and so it kind of stuck that way, and yeah, we did one podcast, and it was like we really thought like, okay, the only listeners are literally going to be our parents and our close friends, and but pretty good numbers, and people really liked the fact that we were a little bit more open and not reserved on it, and just kind of ourselves, and had our hot takes and opinions, and that was kind of the point. Is we just wanted people to see like we're no different, and this is just like the sport of running. We experience it just like most people do, except we run at a little bit of a higher level sometimes, and so yeah, it just kind of snowballed, I guess, from that. And it's been fun more than anything just to get together with the guys on a weekly basis and eat pizza and shoot the shit about whatever. And it's usually about running because we love it so much. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, I can't complain.
So cool. No, I love it. It's like a coffee club, but with trail. It's different,
Yeah.
What it's kind of neat that you guys just joined the Jonathan Levitt's new podcast collective. Can you talk a little bit about like what that has been? Has that opened more doors for you guys? More opportunities? Like, and maybe just explain like what that really is.
Yeah, definitely. I think Seth could probably speak a little bit more on it than I could, but basically Jonathan was kind of launching this new collective where he's helping athletes and brands get more exposure through sponsorships and other I guess other benefits, to kind of like, yeah, get your name out there. And he came to us at the beginning of this, I guess, kind of right before he launched, and just said, hey, like, I would love to help you guys out with a few things. There's a company that I think would be interested in working with you guys. They're based in Boulder, talked to, and then yeah, kind of just from there, it was like having an agent working a deal, and never in our wildest dreams did we think we'd be making any money from the podcast. That's never been the goal, or getting any sort of sponsorship or anything like that. But it by working with these brands and having Jonathan's help, it's allowed our podcast to expand a little bit too, and reach crowds that we didn't know really existed as well. And so it's been cool to kind of see that change, and still in the very early stages of it. And like I said, Seth's the one who's kind of in charge of all the logistics around the podcast. This is his baby, and so I kind of hands off and let him do his thing, and then we'll have our input in that. But yeah, it's been neat. I think Jonathan's doing a really good thing. I think he's going to help out a lot of athletes, a lot of media personnel in the sport, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Jonathan's a man, dude. Really like him. Yeah, he's got what he's doing is something special.
Definitely.
I got to ask you this, and I don't want this to be too deep of a question. You can keep this as service level as possible. It just makes me think, as an athlete in the sport and as a media person in the sport, the more I've grown my podcast and start to see like, okay, you start to understand brand budgets differently in a lot of ways. As you have your podcast and as it continues to grow and you see that there can be money attached to it, has it changed your perspective as an athlete at all? Like in the sense where you're like, okay, after my athletic career, whenever I choose to change my path or whatever you want to do with it, there is an opportunity for you guys to continue with this podcast, and you can really like have a career after running with this.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that was ever my like intention or thought process going into it. So I think kind of seeing that now is opened a lot of doors and brought in a new light. And I'm 37. I'll be 38 next April, and so who knows how much longer my career is going to be. So I would be lying if I said it's not something I've thought about frequently, like what comes next. And the cool thing about trail running right now is it's exploding in so many different areas and outlets and ways. And so there is room to have a career in the sport by not just being a professional athlete. And I haven't been sponsored over the last like year and a half or 2 years too, and so seeing that really open, the sport is so much more than just running professional, I guess, and that's really interesting to me. But I don't know, I think I started to see that before I even started the podcast, I guess. I work with a lot of professional athletes too, and I see the landscape, and especially when they're talking about, contract negotiations with companies, and I've been in the sport in a few different circles, road running and track and short mountain running and that sort of thing for so long that like I have a lot of, I guess, like, insider information on what budgets and the money in our sport does look like. And so I've definitely like been thinking about this way longer than just our podcast, but it is very eye-opening to see how quickly it's changing and how much more money is being brought into the sport. It's just one thing that's going to be interesting is looking at how it's distributed over the coming years. Is that going to go towards more media outlet stuff, or is it going to go to the athletes? Or is there going to be a whole new wave of something we don't even know yet? It's going to happen in a year or two.
On that topic of as far as sponsorship goes, I have been seeing you running a little bit in a Sportiva kit. Is there a chance I have you as a teammate next year on the Sportiva team?
I tell you what, that'd be a dream. There's no talks or anything like that. I don't know. That would be awesome. I probably need to get some results on the board here this year, but I'm digging all the new stuff, man. The Prodigio series, like from the regular Prodigio to the Prodigio Pro to now the Prodigio Max, like those are my everyday shoes. That shoe's awesome. And plus, yeah, I love everything the brand stands for, which is really cool. So it's hard not to rep the gear. And luckily, I think Liam, one of your marketing managers over at La Sportiva, has been kind enough to seed me a few pairs of shoes and some gear and stuff. And so it's the best out there. And so of course I'm going to run in it.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm glad you're liking the stuff. The Maxes are dope. Those just came out, I think, like yesterday. I've been digging those.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I do want to talk a little bit more into like the agent conversation because so much. Do you still work with Kelly Newland? Like, maybe talk a little bit about that, because you've been in the game for so long. You understand the way this like business works. Can you maybe talk about what it's like to work with an agent and how that partnership works? And because like, dude, you could even be an agent in a lot of ways with all the background you have. And have you considered that?
Yeah, it is something I have considered. I love working with athletes. At all levels. Like coaching is awesome, but I think one thing I would really, really enjoy is either being like an athlete manager or an agent where you get to support the athlete in other ways rather than just writing training plans and then talking through that, which I do enjoy that part of the process. But what I really enjoy is like motivating an athlete, getting them excited, taking care of them in ways that a coach normally can't. And so that's the benefit of working with an agent. I think Kelly's great, and there's been a lot of I've known Kelly forever. We have a friendship that goes way, way, way back before she was even an agent. And the nice thing about it is it takes a lot of the thinking away for me. Like I can just go put my head down and train and not have to worry about the conversations behind the scenes. Like those conversations are stressful. I think being 37 years old and trying to get a sponsorship again is that's a tough place to be in unless everything's going right. And I think so having an agent is nice because I can just focus on training. She can have those conversations, and then, outside of that, I think it's been good. Just having that extra support, goes a long, long ways. And, I don't know what'll come of it, but, right now, just, focusing on myself and letting her do all the kind of the behind the scenes work, which is great.
I love that. I like it. You don't have to go too far in the nuts and bolts, but is it more so they'll have the conversation and then bring you in as far as like introductions go? Like when do you get brought into the process is what I'm trying to understand too.
Yeah, definitely. I think it depends on the brand, right? And who you're talking to. Like from being in the sport for so long, I have a lot of my close relationships are with a lot of these athlete managers and people who work for these brands and stuff. So they're no strangers to me. And to be honest, there are conversations I could have right up front and not even need an agent. But the nice thing about it is, it's a stressful. It's tough when these people are your friends and you do know them. It's a stressful conversation to have, being like, hey, I feel like I'm worth this much, and would you love to bring me? Those are awkward
Yeah.
conversations for an athlete to have when all you want to do is run fast and focus on your podcast and all these other things that should make brands want you. And so it really depends on the brand. Like I think you know Kelly has a lot of connections with brands that aren't just the big shoe companies too. And anytime there's a brand that's interested, usually like she will like talk to the brand about like what I want out of that relationship. So every brand's different, and every company, like what I would want out of that relationship is going to change and be different. But she knows that by talking to me first, and then has the conversation with the brand. And if the brand aligns with that, then I kind of start to get brought into the conversation. Once numbers and things like that start getting thrown around. But it's been really important to me as I've gotten older to make sure that whoever I do work with is a brand that I really align with. I think for years maybe I wasn't thinking that way, and I wish I would have at a younger age, and I think I would have been a little bit better of a position now. But I just want to make sure whoever I am working with is somebody I really align with, and Kelly knows that, and so that's the big benefit of it. And yeah, I don't know. There's not really any timeline, I guess, to answer your original question on like when I get brought into the conversation, start talking to brands, and how that works is just very dependent on who's in the conversation and the timeline of the conversation, I guess.
That's so interesting. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I know you started recently working with is the Hyperlight, right? For as far as nutrition goes. Can you talk a little bit about, I feel like they're like this really cool upstart brand on the nutrition side. They've signed a bunch of really, like very A-list athletes. I think there's a lot of cool conversations going there. They're a trendy brand. I have not personally tried the product. I've been wanting to. I'll probably order some soon. But talk about them. Let me know what you think,
Yeah.
and give me the pitch on them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, you got to try the product. It's changed my. I mean, I'm no stranger to like telling people what's been a big struggle for me with ultras has been the fueling aspect of things, especially races over like 50 miles, and it's been a game changer working with Hyperlight. First of all, the two guys, Jeremy and Emery, who kind of run the show at Hyperlight, have they're just world class dudes. They're from Texas, and that's where I grew up and from originally, and so a lot in common there. The thing that stood out from the get go with them was their willingness to one bring on athletes at the beginning when they probably didn't have the means to or the budget to, but they understood the importance of having elite athletes on their roster, and then how they have treated us and everybody involved in the product. Like if you buy Hyperlight, you're getting a handwritten note from them. Like the attention to detail from them in that company it's just incredible. And that when I talk about working with a company that I align with, that fits the mold perfectly, where it's more about the people rather than just pushing product out. And then you form those relationships and you have a good product and you're going to be a successful business. And it's so cool to see the growth happen so quick. I don't think it was expected to blow up as quick as it has. And it's really neat to be part of that from the beginning. But the amount of support I received from them in all ways is just more than I could ask for. And I think it's kind of like it's a situation I think every professional runner hopes to be in with a company at some point, and it feels like family. I mean, we have a team of 8 athletes, and we're all on a group text chain, and it's just fun. Like I feel like we're all, if we're all in the same area, we get out for runs together, or we joke around on the messages and that sort of thing. And it's just been a great team to work for, and highly recommend anybody who, I mean, whether you're struggling with nutrition or not, it's a fantastic product just because of how clean it is with the 100 grams of carbs, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, one serving. You can have that, and there's a lot of benefit to that for shorter and longer races. But yeah, really good, tasty product too.
Oh, dude, I gotta try it. You got me sold.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
No, I appreciate you for being candid and talking about it. Like dude, I gotta say, like their marketing, everything, they've really nailed it. Like since they like really popped onto the scene in the last year, so it's been cool to follow along.
Yeah.
Let's talk nutrition a little bit. I think this is a fun conversation because, I'm gonna track this back a little bit. I had a conversation with Joe Gray a while back. Joe's a good friend of mine, and
Legend.
He gave you like Joe to get a compliment from Joe. I always think of as like one of the coolest things ever. And he threw a compliment about you. I don't know. We were talking about Monument and running, and you came up,
Oh,
and
cool.
he had said something along the lines of like, "Yo, if Matt would have stuck with like sub ultra and stuck with like the shorter stuff, had like could have been like one of the best to ever do it in a lot of sense." Like he threw a serious compliment your way just
Wow,
because
nice.
of your talent level. Sub 4 minute miler. You've taken cracks before at Series and all. You've ran Series and all 3 times. You've run Zagama once. Do you think there's a chance we get more like Matt Daniels with like the Golden Trail Series in the future?
Ooh,
Even
that's
even at 37, like is that possible?
oh man. Possibly. I don't know. There's so much I want to do in this sport, I think, and so it's hard to like, uh, especially at this age, seeing what those kids are running. Kids, God,
Those
guys,
young whippersnappers.
these young men are running now, and women. I mean, just incredible times. I think, yeah, and how they're running these courses is just uh, the game has changed drastically, even from when I was, doing it on more of a consistent basis. With that said, I do like I get the itch to like get out there and do one of those races and stuff. I think if I were to ever run for a brand like Solomon, I would definitely put one or two of the Golden Trail races on my schedule for the year just to like to do and see if I still have it. But and there's a few of them that I want to do just because the kind of like the history around some of those races. That's why I love Zagama. That's why I love Tears and all. I'd love to go do both of those healthy. I've never gotten to do either one of those races like in a full healthy and feeling good. So yeah, maybe. There's also still time when I'm a masters athlete to go after some of the masters records at those races, but we're still a few years away from that. So, but man, that's really nice to hear about Joe. He's a legend, great guy, and like to be honest with you, a huge influence on me and getting into trail running and sticking with it. And I think had it not been for Joe, I probably would have been on only one world team rather than three. A lot of convincing um, and yeah, good words from him like caused me to kind of stick with it and continue on. And yeah, he's a good dude.
He really likes you, man. I was really like I was it was cool. Like because he shared stories and stuff like that and like it helped a lot actually cuz I don't know, like for the episode and stuff like that for me to put things together. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." So, yeah, I dude, all right. So that gets the gears turning. So, maybe talk a little bit about like you've taken cracks at series and all. You haven't had obviously had not finished like anywhere near what your potential is. Do you like talk about some of like the what you were going through in these times, like injuries and things like that? Like I always like help paint the picture for what was happening.
Yeah, definitely. God, that race is so hard. On paper, it doesn't look like it should be as hard. And I've listened to some of your podcasts with like Bailey talking about it and some other athletes, and uh, they paint the picture really well for what that race is. And it is brutal, man. You start off with like a double VK, and then it gets really fast for a while, and you get to enjoy your leg speed, and then you hit another climb, and then you just bomb down a 3K descent. And it's just like you kind of have to have every card to play with if you want to run well there. And you have to be firing on all cylinders if you want to have a good day. And I've just never gotten to line up at that race like feeling good and fresh and ready to run like my best at that particular race. I would say in 2017, I think was the first time I did it. I went there literally and ran it literally 6 days after running the world champs in Italy. And so I was cooked. Like it was the end of the season. I was like, I ran the race in Italy, the world champs with the flu and was really sick. And then went over to Stairs and all and like just had nothing. It was like, we're getting through this sort of thing and experiencing it. And we're going to come back another time and be good. And then in 2019, I got invited to go race it after I placed fourth at Western States. And so
Whoa.
again, hooked, like it was my first 100 at States. And I didn't know how the body was going to recover or anything like that. And then international flight and getting over there, I was just like in a daze and got my doors blown off right from the get go. And then, yeah, and then last year, Seth Ruling and I went out there together to go run it. And I just like I didn't specifically train for it. I was still kind of ultra training and, I just wanted to like have a go at it again, feeling fresh. Even though I wasn't like specifically trained for it. And yeah, I got over there and for whatever reason, Seth and I both just felt so bad the whole trip. we say it was jet lag, but who knows what else it was. Like, just did not feel right. Like, couldn't eat for like 4 or 5 days. Didn't sleep. Like, and so of course, again, like this time I tried going out like I was fit and gonna run really well, and then just blew up so bad and had a horrific time trying to finish that race. And so, yeah, it was one of those. It's one of those races where like every time I've lined up for it, it's just it hadn't it hadn't panned out, and that's okay. That's sometimes it goes that way, and so yeah, maybe one of these years I'll get out there and get to kind of give it my all.
Absolutely, man. It's tough, dude. Americans don't like I should say American men. Like we've had a tough time at that race. Very
Yeah,
rarely does an American male crack the top 10 if like it's been a while. I mean, American man hasn't won since 1982, so it's been a
yeah,
minute.
yeah, it's true, and it's a really hard race to. Pablo Vigil, who's won that race 5 times, he's my mentor and who got me into trail running to begin with, and we talked about it a few times, and you have to have um, you have to be like very almost like track and cross country fit, but have the strength of an ultra runner to run really well there, because of the way that course is. And starting off with a double VK, it's like you better have like one of the best VO2 maxes on the planet if you're gonna even be remotely in the top 10. When you get to open up and actually use your legs. And I think it's hard for Americans to be in that kind of shape that time of year. Tough thing about coming from America to race in Europe is like we race pretty much year round here,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's always something going on, and uh, you have to almost treat Sears and all like it's the Super Bowl, and that's your one race of the year if you want to do well there. So, yeah,
So crazy. What about Zagama? You think you'll ever go back there?
I would love to, man. That course is so cool. I think it suits me a little bit better too, when it's not wet. I took a really, really bad. I was having an awesome. This is what a lot of people don't know. I was having a really good race there. I think like I led for a lot of it. I was in the top 8 when it happened, but I took a really bad fall up there on the ridgeline, and it just was enough to like spook me, and very hesitant the rest of the race, and didn't really want to like open up my stride or run hard on the downhills or anything like that. And I basically just like kind of jogged it in because I was just like spooked that I almost just like ended my life on a fall,
Oh
in the
my
middle of
God.
the race. So
I didn't realize there was
um,
that kind of exposure on that course.
it's really not that bad. Where I fell and how I clipped the toe and rolled, I was pretty close to like. I mean, luckily, Garmin does a really good job about having, I guess, like mountain patrol and people up on the ridge there. But it was just like if nobody was there, I would have been like, you know, close to falling off or whatever. But the fall too itself was really painful. I like bruised my hip pretty bad, and yeah, it was just not. I don't know. I had a lot of life stuff going on that at that same time. I probably shouldn't have even been out there. But it is what it is. I was trying to run well for Nike and wanted to do what I was capable of, and yeah. So
Taking swings, man. Taking
that's right.
swings. Let me ask you this. Do you, now that Nike's in the past and, obviously there's strong consideration about wanting to sign for another brand, do you feel pressure off you now or do you feel more pressure?
Hmm. I would say it's like 50-50, and it's not. I definitely feel less pressure than I used to, because I kind of just came to terms with I'm doing this regardless sort of thing. I love it so much that I don't need um, to be sponsored to continue doing it. Now, it helps tremendously to be sponsored. I mean, the just having support in this sport goes such a long ways, and you're able to train like you need to train to perform at a top level and represent a brand and that sort of thing. And then just having some travel paid for, or getting some free pair of shoes or whatever, where you're not having to work as much, makes such a big difference. And so um, I think the pressure to get sponsored again is definitely there, but it's in a much better light these days, where it's kind of a bonus, and I it's something I definitely still work towards and want, and it's what gets me excited to get up and uh, get out and train. But for me, representing a company is more of it's like it's not for myself anymore. It's more like I would enjoy a partnership where I get to like work with this company and be part of something bigger than just my own running. Where maybe in the past it was more just about me and my results and that sort of thing. I think as I've aged and I want to have a career in the sport, even outside of racing, I would love to work with a company that sees that and values me in other ways than just just the results. I mean, I still want to run fast, but I think that there's a little bit of pressure to get to that point more than just signing this massive contract to like, because I'm the best in the world, which that'd be great. But at the same time, you got to be a little bit realistic too. So
For sure, for sure. Another guy in the Boulder area is Andy Wacker, and he
yeah.
very recently, notably, departed Solomon in a similar way. I would say. It said, have you guys have you guys connected? Have you guys talked over that? Like, are you close with Andy in that way? Because I just find it like a very similar situation, and both of you are doing such incredible things for your running community that I think it's such a positive thing to show that like, I think the normies get so caught up in like sponsorship, but like there's so much like 99.9% of good runners like in the sport like aren't even sponsored. Like it's just, it's not really, you get it. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like have you and Andy connected and like how you both have put like a lot forward for the community?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Andy's a homie. He's one of my really good friends, and I lived with him for years.
You too? Everybody lived with Andy.
Everybody's lived with Andy. Yeah, yeah. I was one of the OGs though. So, no, yeah, we have talked a little bit about it. Andy and I, we haven't, had as much conversation around sponsorship stuff as much as we used to when we were younger. Actually, more of our conversation has been about like some of the stuff we do in the trail running community and what we're doing outside of our own sponsorships and trying to get sponsorships for what we're doing and things like that. But I think he's in a very similar position as me, where like I think he would really appreciate the recognition and support from a brand because I mean the guy's a baller. Like he can literally do it all, and if he wanted to do ultras, he would probably be one of the best in that as well. But I think what's frustrating with both of us maybe is what maybe a lot of people don't see or aren't taking into account is like what we are doing in the community and trying to do with like for instance with what Andy's doing with the trail team. And like being able to run for a company and that company like seeing what he's doing for the community is only going to help that brand. And so not getting recognized for the stuff like he's doing outside of his own running on top of running and like as an incredible athlete is tough to see. And like I get it, brands want the fastest people and the people who are racing a lot and this and that, but that only lasts so long. And there should be spots for those people, and those people should get paid really well. Like the Courtney DeWalters of the world should be getting paid millions of dollars for what they're doing and how much they're selling. But there is a component in this sport where there's a lot of really good athletes that are doing some really incredible things on top of their own running. And I think that goes a really, really, really long ways for selling shoes and representing a brand. And I think, just with the conversations Andy and I have had, it's more around stuff like that than our own running and being like, man, like, remember the days when we were sponsored by Nike and Solomon and like, it's like, what happened? Why aren't we getting sponsored? It's like, no, like we know, how the landscape of sponsorship works and that sort of thing. But it's, we also want to change that a little bit and want brands to understand like where the soul of our sport comes from and how they can benefit from sponsoring athletes who are heavily involved in that.
It's like, dude, it's almost, I don't know if you're an NFL fan, but like you think about like the veterans in the locker room. I don't know. I'm not like a giant NFL fan. I like college football. But anyway, long story short, you think about like the saying of the veteran in the locker room. And I just think having on teams, like having a person that does so much for their community, not only does it set the great example for the young guns coming up, but at the same time, just being able to mentor athletes and tell them and show them like, oh, this is what you don't do. This is what you do. And like just giving, there's so much that you can provide as someone that's in their mid 30s, like, in that role, that's in, that point of their career. I don't know. I think there's a lot of benefit there. It's funny. I was just talking to, I think one of your athletes, Courtney Coppinger, and we were chatting about this like semi recently when Brooks was putting together like their team. And she had said something along the lines where one of the things that they, wanted her for was leadership as well, being able to be, a good leader and almost like a mentor in a lot of ways. Yeah. Outside of she's, oh my God, had an insane season. But like,
I just to get better.
Oh my God, dude, she's a killer this year. It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I think brands could benefit from so much, as opposed to what drives me crazy is it's always like the latest and greatest thing. Like you could take 16 shots at Black Canyon and win it once, but DNF 20 times,
Yeah.
you can get yourself an ultra contract. And that's just me being random there. Or you could like be a Ryan Becker and be on the podium of everything, not necessarily win everything, but be on the podium and everything and not get a contract. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. It's very confusing. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Let's talk sport. Where do you see the future of the sport going? Like from a professionalization perspective, like, do you think this is going to be an Olympic sport? Like, what do you want to see and where do you see it going?
Gosh, that's a great question. There's a lot of different scenarios. I'll answer the question of if I want it to be an Olympic sport first. I don't think I do.
I like
and
that.
I don't think it would be a very good Olympic sport, to be honest with you. And then we get too mixed up on focusing on one or two trail distances again, and because you can't treat it like track and field, where they're not going to have like, if they're going to bring trail into the Olympics, they're not going to have like 8 different races or 8 different distances on 8 different courses. That's just not going to happen. It's probably going to be 1 or 2 races, and that's going to be trail in the Olympics. And I don't think that would be good for the sport. I think it's going to continue to grow, and a lot of the lore of trail running and what has brought people into it is the fact that it is diverse in a way that other sports aren't, in terms of like how each race is different. There's different distances, but yet everybody kind of has one common theme, and that's they want to be part of this community and go explore trails and be in the mountains and the woods and kind of get away. And I think, as long as UTMB is still doing what they're doing, we're going to continue to see a shift in the sport where it gets a little bit more professionalized. UTMB may not be like, flipping the bill for any of these athletes, but brands are going to get more involved because of the exposure of UTMB, and it's going to become a little bit more of a media frenzy than it already is, which is crazy to think about. But there's still going to be a huge opportunity for grassroots events and the soul of the sport. And I think you're going to see a lot of professional athletes want to go back and forth between those 2 types of races and stuff. So while trail running will change and it will grow and it'll become more like Ironman, it will also stay a lot of the same, I think, too. People don't want it to fully change, and so there will be that whole part of trail running that will, I think, hopefully stay the same as long as we continue to keep our public lands and we're smart about how we're stewards of the land and things like that. I think there's good and bad that's about to come with trail. There's going to be growing pains, but I think in the end, it'll we'll still all get the same benefit from it that we've always gotten, and that's like getting to go explore in the mountains and be part of this really cool community, and get to party in the woods.
I love that. It's interesting, man. I really stand on the same. I'm very much of the same view on you as you with the Olympics section. Not so much about the distances. The distances like make me a little frustrated because I saw what they did to, for instance, climbing and kind of what they did with skimo too. I just really like a lot of the hardcore skimo athletes like were kind of bummed about, what they did with skimo, but it's a different conversation. I think the one thing for me is I want to see, because athletes don't have a long life cycle in this sport. And not only that is there's not a ton of money in the sport to be made yet. So my thought is like, I want athletes to make as much money as possible. So whatever they go on to do afterwards, they can be successful at, and they don't have to necessarily worry. And I think with the Olympics, just like every other sport in the Olympics or most sports outside of your NBA, NFL, whatever, those media rights, like that all goes to the Olympics. Like athletes don't make money unless it's like small amounts from sponsorship. So I think when it comes to the economics of it, I think the athletes would be much better served probably from our own, selling TV rights or media rights to something along the lines of like a UTM, not a UTM, but some sort of world championship to where athletes have profit sharing, something like that. But yeah, not the Olympics. I just don't think that's, unless it attracts a lot of bigger name sponsors, but then there's a lot of consolidation because the best athletes will make the most money. But I think there needs to be where the sport grows to the point where it can be all the way down the line, so that way it's a little more fair. It's not just 1 or 2 or 3 athletes making, driving Bugattis and shit. Like, you
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. It's tough too because with the Olympics being every 4 years and everything's, there may be Olympic cycles where you don't even see the best athletes from the last 3 years because, like you said, the life cycle in the sport is very short for a lot of, especially in the ultra distances, for a lot of top level athletes. And usually, I mean, there's the exception for sure, but sometimes these top level athletes only get a year or two of like being their best and they may completely miss out on a whole Olympic year and miss out on millions of dollars if it gets to that point with trail running, but still be in history one of the best ultra runners, ever. And that's sad to think about.
It is. It is.
And we're in track and field, it's a little bit different, I mean, there are those athletes, but yeah, it's a good point, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think we're still a long ways off from trail running being in the Olympics, but if it does happen, we're going to see a huge change in the sponsorship landscape for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too. Like, Liam Myro, I was talking to recently, and he made a really good point. He's like, all right, take your best vertical run. Take Joe Gray, for example. He goes, all right, Joe Gray's what, 41, 42 right now? So by the time it does become an Olympic sport, like you're going to judge all the past greats against the fact that they never became an Olympian, right? So, and then you'll obviously judge future grades on the fact or greats by the fact that they were Olympians. So just because Joe Gray, Matt Carpenter, and some of the best to ever do it back in the day never became Olympians, is that judged against them? And like that's kind of a bummer. You can't really, it's completely out of their control. So it's interesting. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It's a good conversation to have though.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. It's such an interesting sport. Like, especially because it's so small and it's so small, but so big at the same time, given the fact that it is global. But like in our little bubble, like it's a very niche thing, but it's there's money coming to it. So it's kind of crazy.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I kind of look at it as kind of, people always make the like association with skateboarding, in trail running or surfing, but like our X Games is UTMB right now, and it's kind of interesting. Like skateboarding is a very soul sport, and you have those who just like do it to do it and love to do it, and then you have those who compete in like the small, arena and some of the dirt bag events, and we have that in trail running, and then and then you have like the people who are trying to like get the big bucks and do the X Games and who compete at the highest, quote unquote, the highest level. And that's kind of where I feel like trail running is at, on a smaller scale, maybe, or maybe not. I don't really know right now with the numbers, but I feel like, that's like our UTMB and kind of how it's set up. And it would just be so interesting throwing in an Olympic Games on top of that. Like what would happen to UTMB, what would happen to the other smaller races at the professional level, So, yeah.
Dude, I think it would change a lot. And dude, the other thing is too, and this is just me riffing, but like, if we throw in like an out of season testing pool, like how does that change the landscape? Like the entire sport, especially, and this is no shot at Europe, but the European landscape of trail running changes then, like in my opinion, and some maybe American, but I would say mostly Europe. Things will change if we throw in an out of season testing pool, and you'll see a lot of athletes. It'll just change. That's the best way to probably put it.
Yeah. I wish it would. Like, I wish that would happen now. And I wish brands would, I wish there was a clause in every contract where a certain amount of, what you make goes into that like testing pool or something like that. But that's a whole nother, can of worms to open and talk about. And, but yeah, it would drastically change the landscape. I think there's a lot more athletes riding that fine gray line, or just on the other side of it than we think and assume. So it's just sad to say, but I think that's the truth.
No, you're 100% right. Well, 100%. That's we could do a whole nother podcast on that. I could bring Dan Kurtz in, and we can have Dan Kurtz. He and I always chat about the anti-doping thing. It's kind of hilarious.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so all right, moving on. Let's so we got Run Rabbit Run. That's only a few weeks out. I would imagine you're probably starting your taper now for it, or?
Kind of. I'm on like a deloading week right now, and then I'll have probably another decent week. My weekends are loaded up with some long runs, but like throughout the week, I'm just pretty chill now. So yeah, I'll start to kind of taper down because we're 4 weeks away from this Friday. So yeah, we'll start to taper down probably 2 or 3 weeks out.
Sweet, man. You got to be excited. What do you think is going to be next after? Like, what do you got planned for the back half of your season?
Yeah, to be determined. I'm signed up for JFK. I don't. A lot's going to depend on how I recover and, um, yeah, how I'm feeling. Like if I can get my like turnover and speed back like in time. Like Run Rabbit's a slow race, and so I'm having to train at like much slower speeds, and I'm at higher elevation. So I'm losing a lot of that like natural ability that I have to go fast, especially for a race like JFK. But if I can come back in time and feel good for that, I'll do JFK, and then. The big plan is Black Canyon in February. I went out to Western to pace Seth, and I thought I was done with that race, man. And I can't get enough of it. I got to get back on the starting line. So I'm gonna give it a go and try and like do something special at Black Canyon. I also said I would never go back and do Black Canyon again because like that was the one race I knocked out of the park, at the beginning of my career, and
It's
it's
true,
hard
you're
to
a
go back and
champion.
do that. But I am feeling like I'm at a place in my career and feeling good mentally about it, like where I could go back and I think having just as good of a day if training goes well. So that's the big plan. Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. Just kind of focused right now on these next 4 weeks and trying to make 20K and and then go from there.
Nice, man. Nice. No, I love it. I love it. All right, dude, it's crazy. Black Canyon, like, I mean, you already knocked it out of the park once, so how hard could it possibly be to go? I guess you could go do it again.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah.
But no, I mean, dude, your time holds up. Like, it was like friggin' fast as shit. So yeah, it would be cool to go back, and that's such a cool course too. Like, such a hard, like downhill. It's such a runner's, obviously a runner's, it's so runnable, but
Yeah.
it's as runnable as it gets. But yeah. All right. One more thing I got for you before I let you go. I gotta ask you more like a coaching question on your training.
Sure.
Are you, for a race like Run Rabbit, just because I don't have a lot of ultra runners on here, is it more, are you paid more attention for the training for time, mileage, or are you more vertical for a race like this? Like what stats are you specifically like measuring things by for this?
Yeah, definitely. Time for sure. Miles have been kind of thrown out the window in this training block. And I've been going off the time and trying to get like for most of my runs, vert per mile that the race is. So I think for Run Rabbit, it's something like 160 or 175 feet a mile. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not like trying to train for UTMB, but yeah, just getting on terrain that's equivalent to that and kind of like locking in at whatever course record pace is, and getting really comfortable with that for a really long time. And for me, ultra training, more than anything, I'm focused on fueling and just like getting that dialed in and getting the gut used to consuming the amount of carbs and calories that I need, and then getting in the amount of sodium and fluids that I need as well. And that's been the biggest game changer, is just getting that more dialed in and knowing that like this race isn't built for Ferraris. It's built for a Jeep, and I need to like be in Jeep mode, and it's tough for a guy like me who loves to like go zip around on fast trails and send it. And so I need to be a little bit more patient and get the mind right and just kind of like lock into 10-minute miles, I guess, is basically what it comes out to. So
Oh,
yeah.
man. Are you going pacers or no pacers for this?
So no pacers at Run Rabbit. They don't allow
Oh,
it.
they
I
don't allow
think.
pacers. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
not for the Hares division. So yeah.
Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the race starts at 1 p.m. So you're just running through the night. So it'll be another race very similar to UTMB. So trying to like get the mind ready for that. Just like I'm gonna be out there in the woods by myself for hours on end.
I kind of like the no pacer thing, like with
I do
it's
too.
it's so Euro, like where and you're through the night, which is also very Euro. So I didn't even realize that. That's actually really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a cool race. It's set up a little bit differently than most of the other ones here in the U.S.
And you can't hate on the prize money. Damn, dude,
No.
that's a solid payout. Like it's not bad at all.
Yeah, definitely. And there's opportunity to make more than just the 20K for the win too. There's course record bonuses and then team bonuses. So like if you're paired with somebody and you have I think the fastest overall time, there's bonus for that. So yeah, a lot of opportunity to make a little bit of extra cash, which would be great right now. So
Yeah, hell yeah,
yeah.
dude. Hell yeah. Well, listen, Matt, I gotta say thank you I'm such a fan, dude. I thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was a great conversation. I appreciate you being open and like talking about the sport and just being candid about everything. So I hope this is not our last conversation. Hopefully many more. Yeah, next time when you run series at all, we're gonna do a pre-race.
That sounds good. Cool. Well, it may be a few years away, but yeah,
Well,
no, that sounds good.
We'll figure out something in the meantime. Well, dude,
All right.
thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Well, thanks so much for having me on, James.
Yeah, you
Good
too,
to
man.
good to talk to you. All right.
What'd you guys think? Oh man, what a great episode. I want to thank Matt so much for coming on the podcast. It was an absolute blast. And, I really appreciate him being so candid and just talking about, his life in the sport, which is so interesting. The guy's been around for a while and has done so much and accomplished so much. So yeah, I hate to say it. I fanboyed big time. And yeah, just a big fan of Matt. And, guys, before you get going, you can best support Matt in a few different ways. You can find him first and foremost, give him a follow on Instagram if you don't already. You could find him at MattDaniels480. It's going to be linked in the show notes as well. Give him a follow, send him a DM, let him know what you guys thought about the episode. Another way you could support him is listening to his show, The Boulder Boys Show. It's a great podcast, highly worth a listen. It's great stuff there, lots of nuggets of wisdom, and lots of cool contributors, Seth and Matt and Adam and the crew. So all good stuff there. And another way you could support him if you are interested in coaching, you can find Matt as well on Instagram and send him a DM if you're interested or looking for a coach. And just let him know. And you can also read his Substack. I'll link that in the show notes as well. He's got some good writing in there. So again, want to thank Matt so much for coming on the podcast. Guys, very last but not least, if you enjoyed this episode, you can best support us by leaving a 5-star rating and review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you consume your podcast. If you really enjoyed it, how about you give us a review? Yeah, let me know what you liked or disliked or whatever you think about this crazy show. So give us a rating and review. That'd be dope. And last but not least, you can also support us by buying Ultimate Direction. Check out UD. 25% off using code SteepStuffPod gets you 25% off your cart. Get yourself a belt, get yourself a vest, hook it up. All good stuff there. So guys, I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week, and thanks so much for listening. People, what's going on? It is summer, guys. Super exciting. Adventures in the mountains, summer races. It's about that time to start thinking about your gear. I want to say our brand partner, Ultimate Direction's got you guys covered. Pop on over to ultimatedirection.com. Check out a whole quiver and new vests and belts that have just dropped. Pop on over to check out the new race and ultra vests. Race vest in a 6-liter, the ultra vest in a 12, and beautiful new aesthetic colorways. Definitely dynamic and stretchy, cool new materials. Definitely something that can definitely buff out your kit for 2025. On top of that, we did just drop a brand new pull quiver that's compatible for all of these vests. Definitely something you're going to want to add. And if you're not a vest person, pop on over to the belt section. You can check out the utility belt and the comfort belt. The utility belt is a little bit more of an ultra belt, more storage capacity, a little bit thicker, and ability to hold poles. The comfort belt's a little bit smaller. Think sub-ultra or workout maybe oriented belt that's going to hold your gels and your phone. Still super durable, but just a little bit tinier for those smaller adventures or maybe shorter races like a Cirque Series race or something like that in the mountains. So pop on over to ultimatedirection.com. They have you covered for all your hydration solutions. Use code SteepStuffPod for 25% off. Again, that's SteepStuffPod, one word, for 25% off. Ultimate Direction's got you covered. And if you have any questions, shoot me a DM. Let me know. I'd be happy to answer any product-related questions for you guys. So thanks so much. Check out Ultimate Direction.